It's amazing to see how the South African markets are bucking the trend. We are up around 0.5% or so off our best levels, but despite that, we are seeing negativity in other global markets.
Yes, absolutely. It seems to be counter-trend Friday today. The JSE is up quite strongly. That's mainly on the back of the gold price also. As we saw some renewed interest into gold, and I think that has brought our markets up quite a bit. And, when I was looking earlier at the FTSE, that's trading down, I think, in response to perhaps some nervousness regarding the European issues that seem to have resurfaced again, with Portugal getting assistance from the ECB in buying of their bonds. As you mentioned earlier, the Chinese issue, where we've seen that they've raised interest rates there in an attempt to fight inflation. So I think, there's nervousness translated perhaps in other markets, but not our own today.
Also interesting to note, in Ntombenhle, that the rand is currently weakening, and one of the reasons last week that we saw the markets doing well despite other markets coming under pressure is because our commodity stocks were doing well on the back of a weaker rand. Do you think that this is going to be a trend that will continue?
As we saw with a lot of resource stocks that reported this week, they have benefited from a slightly weaker rand and as well as a higher resource prices. But I think what we're seeing, the weakness of the rand generally today is mainly from the South African Reserve Bank buying up reserves, accumulation of reserves there, that we've really seen a big improvement, a worsening, I would say, of the rand there. And also, I think there's been a flight to maybe safe haven currencies such as the dollar and safer haven assets that are offered by the developed world.
Let's touch on some of the numbers that we saw last week. Well, this week, in fact, we're still not into the new week. Anglo Platinum out with results on Monday. We have seen them get costs under control. We are seeing a bit of a turnaround coming to the fore, and some are saying that this could be a trend that will continue with Anglo Platinum, perhaps prompting some investors to relook at their allocation between the likes of Implats, which has been quite a favorite, and looking at Anglo Platinum as an option.
Sure, I think, attention has been moved back into Anglo Platinum, and I think, 600% increase in headline earnings. That was a very, very stellar result from them. And, they seem to have cost control under their thumbs. They seem to be able to, have good production numbers coming out of there. And, there are going to be job cuts and reduction of their debt levels, so those are the kind of things that investors like to hear. And also the sale of their Western Bushveld JV also really worked out for them and added to those numbers. So really, the resumption of the dividend payout, there's so much that has happened with that stock that, yes, it will take the shine away from Implats, which was a favorite before, and back into that stock.
Let's touch on the yellow metal, that being gold, and we are starting to see gold prices slightly under pressure despite all the tensions and worries coming through from North Africa and the Middle East. In the meantime, some of the gold miners are doing quite well, mostly because their offshore operations are also buoying them to levels that we haven't perhaps seen before. Harmony second quarter headline earnings per share jumping 110%.
Yes, a big surprise to the market. I think majority of analysts expected that, we'll see flat earnings coming out of Harmony this quarter. But, a very, very good showing there, doubling of their Q2 headline earnings per share. And yes, it is all about the gold price. The gold price has really worked for a majority of the gold miners. And the expectations is that they will be doing far better this year than they did last year. So, and, then exports also have increased with demand from China also increasing, so they have really, really benefited from all of that.
In Ntombenhle, let's also touch on Kumba Iron Ore, ArcelorMittal. Both companies seeing a significant turnaround. Kumba Iron Ore benefiting from selling iron ore at a higher cost and higher price to ArcelorMittal, and ArcelorMittal feeling the pressure of higher iron ore prices.
Yes, I think, there's so many factors between those two companies that have also, come up as more headlines, and, and their earnings have really become sidelines for them, But, yes, Kumba Iron Ore has really done well, also benefited from higher commodity prices. Arcelor also benefiting from higher steel prices and actually has now returned to profit. So, that was good news there, but they're so dogged and so plagued by all the, the legal issues that they are under now. They're suing ICT, which is Imperial Crown Trading, and and all of that negative attention that's coming there is really suppressing they're suppressing their share price at the moment and the performance that we would have liked to seen given their stellar results.
Ntombenhle, let's touch on the Egyptian markets. Most emerging market analysts focusing on the resumption of trade there, which will come through on Sunday. Some said this will be quite telling in terms of the risk aversion or risk appetite that we could see with regards to this. Many saying that a lot of investors dumping assets and perhaps pulling out of African funds because of this.
Yeah, I think, it does put a bad spotlight on emerging markets and what our performance has been last year. I mean, we were outperforming developed markets quite a bit, but issues like this, do put a dark cloud over us. And I think, I don't think it will really translate into the rest of Africa. I think it's more unique to perhaps Egypt and the Middle East and Northern Africa. And the concern there is mainly regarding oil, regarding the Suez Canal, and whether there'll be, whether there'll be a closing of it or how supply of oil will be impacted. We saw the oil price go, to a little bit over $101, $101, and that just shows that there has been a risk aversion around that, and there is concern. But whether it will be as dramatic as the taking out of disinvesting from Africa, I don't think it will have that adverse reaction at the moment.